Yo, what's up, legends? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Yes, it's been a while. Yes, I feel bad about it. I think it's been about a month since, we last saw each other. There's been a lot of stuff going on in the background. I think you'll understand. It's been crazy. I've been in Asia. Touring's been a lot of fun lately. A lot of preparation goes into that you don't actually expect, but making music for sets, all that kind of stuff is super important. And also, I relaunched my record label. My label is now a part of Revealed as a sub-label. When I first launched this label, this was a dream for a bigger label to help take this to the next level. Because trust me, when I tell you, running a label is hard, really hard. So it's really good that we have the higher power of Revealed to try and take our sound, our artists to the next level. Just head over to the Revealed Instagram and also the Rave Room Recordings Instagram, because there's a very, very, very important release coming on May 5th. That is my first Rave Room Recordings release, and it's called The Old School. It's a track all of you will have known by now. It's one of my favorite IDs. But today what we are here for is to talk about Seduction, which is one of the tracks from my EP with the legend that is Hardwell. It was so good to work with him. I sent him this bare idea and he took it to a new level. This is a little bit different to the final version. You will hear that there's a lot of differences, but sound design and kind of the main element of the idea is the way it is in the final track. So you will be able to learn a lot, hopefully, and see why we used the sounds that we used. If you haven't already heard it, head over to Spotify. There's 2 tracks on the EP, Hardwell and Olly James Seduction, Hardwell and Olly James Flatline. Both really, really sick tracks, designed for festivals, designed for clubs. But yeah, we'll jump straight in. This is the initial version of Seduction, which I made, I think, in March 2022. So this is how it sounds. So as you can hear, it's quite different overall to the final version of Seduction, but the key elements are there. Breakdown, I think, remained the same. Robert kept the breakdown. The drops, he switched up, and I love his drops. His kick is just so thick and so full. You can see what I did with mine. It was more of a clean, melodic techno kind of vibe. With melodic techno, it's less about big kick, but it's more about like the cleanness of the mix. And that's kind of what I had in my head. But what he did was take it to the next level. And he worked on it all night. And it's just ended up being so crazy. And his master is solid as well. So let's take a look at the key elements of Seduction. First off, we have the main drop lead, which is this. With a filter on right now. Let's just knock this filter off. So it is a screech preset from Serum. This one is from a hardstyle pack. It's a hardstyle screech. This allowed the track to sound super unique without really trying too hard. It's not a big room synth. It's literally from a different genre altogether. It's a screech sound from hardstyle. So it already made the track sound really, really fresh and really unique. Processing wise, let's see what it sounded like in the beginning. From mouse to a lion. That's literally what it is. So we go through all the processing. As you can see, there is a lot of processing on this. The kind of sound it was, I could really distort the life out of this sound. With a big room kind of synth saw, I wouldn't have been able to do as much processing. But with this, I could just take it to a new level. And you will see step by step that it's pretty similar. We've got the Camel Crusher as always. RIP to Ableton users who can't see the UI of Camel Crusher. Unlucky. Isotope Trash. Usually I have a blood overdrive here. I didn't want to make it like super MIDI and super yeah, just focus on the mids. I wanted it to be super bright. as we said before, it's more like a melodic techno drop. It's a little bit softer, so I wasn't going crazy on the mid processing. But the isotope trash does a lot. Just makes the sound a bit richer. We also have a Saturn, which is super important, doing the same kind of thing. Double saturation. We've got a simple EQ there. Decapitator. So the decapitator is bringing a little bit more of the mid frequencies focus back. We also have the isotope trash again. Now this preset is grainy, saturation grainy. The first one is Little Popper. I like to use all of these, to be honest. Mild excitement, push pull, tape saturation, they're all really, really good. We have another EQ after this, just to focus on the frequencies I felt were missing. And obviously another EQ because it's Olly James production, so I'm never happy. We also have a kickstart at the end there, quite a loose sidechain. Didn't want it to be too pumping like this, you know, it would just ruin the vibe. Endless Smile for build-up purposes. We have another EQ boosting again those mid frequencies and the highs. Now I like this Echo Boy. There was no real thought process behind this. I think I stumbled upon this. I knew I wanted to have a delay because of how empty the melody was, but this is kind of a different way to delay it. It's more like an echo, literally. Yeah, mind the pun, but it sounds really, really cool, really, really dark. It just kind of fills the space. Transient Master to get some of that click back. Yeah, you can really hear the transient there. It's crazy. Another EQ, of course, bringing some more high end, a bigger fire. This is a weird ass plugin, but I really like it. See, that transforms the sound a lot, really widens the sound. We've got the reverb with the peak controller. The Transient Master's also linked. I really don't know why. I feel like that's a mistake. That's kind of weird. We also have Oxford Inflator just to literally inflate the sound. Quite a lot there. And then a bit of a compression at the end just to keep everything tight. So that is how we got the main drop sound. That's the sound you all recognize from the song. As you can see, I've done some automations there with the reverb. It's set out this way with everything on top of each other because it was stemmed. So I sent the stems to Robert. So all these things have then relative automations on top of it, so I can bounce out the stem as well, because FL's horrible at bouncing stems. But we see with the reverb automation there, I'm just filling the gap, and then when the next note plays, I'm getting rid of it again. So as well as the peak controller, I'm also filling it with wet reverb as well. So if you check the reverb there, I'm also automating this wet knob as well as controlling the dry wet. If that makes sense. So that's kind of filling the gaps. And at that point, we had a pretty solid drop. The way this track happened is I actually tweeted Robert and I said, yo, let's do a song this year, because I saw that he came back doing a little bit of techno, right? And I'd already been kind of dabbling a little bit in it. And he replied, he DM'd me and said, yeah, send me the stems, let's make it 134, and yeah, let's do it. So drop one is pretty much all about that. We can look at the stuff that we didn't end up using in the track. I went for a soft kick. I shouldn't say soft, but I should say like a clean kick with a nice top layer on it. This for like the width of the kick as well. See the main bass lines? This was just a loop, which I kind of cut up to fit my own idea. Here's a sidetrance bass. And then we have this, I really don't know how to describe this, but it's a techno sound. So together, the bass line is, I think, super interesting, something I might use again. I prefer the Seduction final bass line, but this was cool. I didn't mind it. So that's the main elements. We have some sounds from the Signature Sounds packs, of course. There's a wob sound from Rave Room. We have some hi-hats. Some percussion stuff. Don't think we used those. Just some general kind of noises. I know we did use these ones in the end. Just an acid sound from Vengeance. Just kept the rhythm nice. We also used this one from Maurice West Kashmir pack. You'll hear that in the build-up, I think, and the intro and stuff. We have this clap fill, which I love. And this one, which definitely stayed. If you're making a certain song in a certain style, for example, you're making a big room techno song, don't be afraid to just rinse splice for techno sounds. Just find all these sounds. Just spend one day downloading all this stuff, and you know they'll come in super useful. Because this track, without these claps, without premium quality samples, your tracks are not going to sound premium quality, right? I make sure every single sound I use is a 10 out of 10. I don't want to use like a 5 out of 10 build-up snare because it'll just cheapen the overall sound of your track. Drop 1 is pretty much complete. I mean, we can look at the drums. Pretty simple. This one's a really good hat. Really solid. So this actually gets layered to the lead itself. Now this is from a track called Hit Hard by Robert Armani. This is a really old song, really sick rave track. I urge you to go and check it out. But there's a sound in there which I loved and I wanted to sample it. So I literally just put it underneath. Please don't sue me, brother. I used the smallest amount. But then it gave it just a little bit more body and a little bit more edge. We also have a future rave lead on top of that just to kind of boost, kind of develop the sound even more. It's just a subtle sound. So it's quite a dark sound, but layered with the main lead, it sounds really nice. See how it's just a little bit less empty there with that extra layer? I think that might be a part of the final version as well. Then we jump onto the breakdown. I have this pluck from Vital, actually. It's from Stonebank Vital preset pack. Really good pack. Really cool UK hardcore sounds. But it has this anthemic pluck. I had to bounce it out to a WAV because the CPU on this specific preset is next level for some reason. But as you can hear, it's just the main melody. I think I just filtered it up. I love this brig melody, man. Like it didn't take me too long. It just kind of flowed, but I just love it. Apologies. So if we look at the MIDI itself, that was a mistake. It's pretty similar. It's pretty simple, right? It's just an op which I've kind of developed and changed the chord and stuff like that. But it is pretty simple. So by keeping it all on the root note of D, it just adds tension. But then when we come here, it's more emotional. It's more like a melody then. So the anthemic pluck is layered to this sound. Now this one is a really sick serum preset, which I could change the cutoff and kind of make the sound change. You hear how the sound is now developing from like a plug sound into a future rave lead, and that just gave the breaks so much movement as well. So in addition to that, we have some atmospheric stuff. So this is like a trance pad. Fits perfectly. And then we have a super important part of the track, which is the big future rave stabs. So this is the ultra bass pad from Nexus. Been using this a lot. All I have actually on it is just an EQ. I'm rolling off a little bit of the real subby frequency, so I felt it was too bassy, and I'm just boosting a little bit of the mids, the low mids, mid-mids and highs. See how it just brightens it up a little bit? But together that really, it creates a vibe, and it's only 2 sounds. We also have the Reese, which is super important. Which is one of my favorites from Serum. I believe it's the big bed bass. Yeah, from Stevie Aoki's pack. This one is just, yeah, it's just always there for me, you know. Whenever I need something, boom, I just go straight there. This just sets the low end instantly in any breakdown that I make. I probably should start using a different one, but it really, really works, man. It really, really works. We have the pads as well. Beautiful. So that is just a Nexus pad. Not sure. Oh, it's just the Airwave Trance, so it didn't really sound like it. I use this all the time as well. It's a classic trancey sound, and it just, yeah, beautiful, man. It just creates a lot of tension, but also it's quite emotional. And then we go into the build-up, the long build-up. So the build-up's pretty similar to the final version. We have a snare here, which is... It's a saber snare. Super thick. I like this one. I like to layer it with a Roland snare as well, so we've got that kind of techno element coming in. It's not just a straight up big room builder. Standard risers. And then we go into drop number 2. Drop number 2 is not very similar to the final version, so I won't go too deeply into it. But yeah, I wanted to do like a reverse bass, a little bit more high energy. So you've got a big room kick there, sidechain, so it provides a sub bass, and then I have some other layers, which actually sounds pretty cool as well. Might have to make like a VIP edit, but yeah, it has something, right? It has some good energy. We got some huge rides, some white noise. Just providing a little bit more energy there. This is... Yeah, I don't think we used this in the final version. We definitely used this acid shot. This one's crazy. It comes from Nexus, actually one of the sequences. I had to bounce it out from another project. I prefer to work this way. When it's in a sequence, you know, you have to let it play the whole time. I like to have it in waveform. So that's what it comes as. It just sounds so thick. EQ wise, just a little boost in the mids and the highs, and a long reverb tail, so it can just, you know, travel off gracefully into the night. It doesn't just end dead. And I took this end part here and I reversed it, so it was a smooth transition. And this is one that you hear a lot in the track. It's repeated quite a lot, and it's such a high quality sound. It's one I will be using a lot more. It's really, really crazy. So that is pretty much it in terms of the sound design of Seduction. I hope you learned something. I hope you learned to not just look in big room packs or not just look in tech house packs. Like, try and look elsewhere. Hardstyle, these kind of packs, you will get some really unique sounds, and it'll allow you to make really unique music. So as always, thank you guys for watching. Thank you so much for the support on the release with Hardwell, and also thank you so much for all this early support on my announcement of Rave Room Recordings being a part of Revealed. It's going to be a crazy few years to come, and I hope to see you guys releasing on the label as well. I'll see you guys next week, or maybe the week after, when we will go through probably the project of Flatline. So see you guys then.